Two of three people charged in connection with a drive-by shooting that prompted a shelter-in-place order and school lockdown in Saco last year have now pleaded guilty in federal court.
20-year-old Joshua Estrada and 22-year-old young Carlos Abrante, both of Massachusetts, pleaded guilty to conspiring to distribute and possess cocaine, perpetrating a drive-by shooting, and using a firearm during in relation to a drug trafficking crime.
Officials say the drive-by shooting in Saco on February 9th of last year was the result of a drug trade dispute. Saco police initially responded to reports of gunshots between two cars. The three suspects then crashed into a school bus, which was carrying students, before running from the scene. They both face a mandatory minimum prison sentence of 20 years with a maximum of life and a fine of up to $10 million.